What's up everyone, Season 2 of Zenless Zone Zero is finally here, and with it emerged new gear that revamps Lycaon, taking him to new levels of strength and flexibility and giving him an all new best build. In this video I'll walk you through this build and his latest and greatest W engines, discs, and other important things you need to know. Without further ado, use the chapters as you see fit, and let's make your Lycaon broken for the new season. Starting off with this kid, let's talk about his most important ability, his basic attacks. Lycaon's basic attacks are your main source of applying daze, and they also come in two modes, a tap and a hold mode. Always opt for the hold. It deals significantly more damage and, more importantly, inflicts much more daze. This stems from its scaling in addition to Lycaon's core passive, whereby if he performs a charged or held basic attack, these attacks deal massively higher daze. In tandem with his charged basic attacks, you'll be using much of his EX special attack as well. They too can be tapped or held, and once more, just like his basics, the true strength of the special attack lies with the held version. It deals an insane amount of daze, nearly 1000%, and applies Lycaon's great buff, a 25% ice resistance shred that lasts for a full 30 seconds. This resistance shred also occurs when Lycaon performs an assist follow-up. This makes Lycaon a phenomenal stunner. Not only does he quickly stun with his basic attacks and cause opponents to take 150% extra damage, he further buffs his team's damage with massively reducing ice resistances, raising your DPS significantly. Therefore, to best make use of this, cast a special attack or quick assist just before or directly after the enemy is stunned to have your DPS make immediate use of the shred. Crazily enough, however, this is not all of Lycaon's buffing potential. If he's paired with another ice agent or an agent from Victoria Housekeeping, his additional ability will be active, boosting the damage stunned enemies take by 35% if Lycaon damages them. This 35% is automatically applied to targets if Lycaon stuns them. Yet, if he's not the one, say it was your DPS or support that stunned them, you can then use Lycaon's chain attacks to seamlessly apply the additional ability, or simply attack with him whenever you can. On to his ultimate. It's very straightforward. It's big damage and big stun potential. There's no tap or hold here, simply use it when you want to quickly stun opponents. With all this in mind, when you're upgrading his skills, prioritize first his core passive to amplify his basic attack stays. Similarly, level his basic attack talent, special attack, and also invest in his ultimate and assist follow-ups. Finally, though not completely necessary, I'd recommend leveling his dodge attacks a bit. They're very useful since when you play Lycaon, there'll be all these incoming attacks, and dodge attacking is much faster and beneficial in terms of stunning than switching out to other units to avoid these attacks. Now let's discuss how to best build Lycaon, specifically with his new and improved W engine options. At first place is his signature, which you can now easily get thanks to the selector, but anyhow, this engine is amazing. It boosts his basic attack and impact, directly enhancing his daze and damage output. And better yet, this very thing is furthered by the engine's passive, which increases both daze and basic attack damage by a total of 30%, making him hit harder and stun enemies faster. With high daze and fast stuns, it stands as the ultimate option for Lycaon. Interestingly, however, while his signature is his best, there are other S-rank engines that do other very important things that his signature doesn't. Take for instance his second best engine, Lighter's Blazing Laurel. Like the Restrained, you get high attack and impact, but the profound thing about the engine is with its passive. When Lycaon performs a quick assist or perfect assist, the latter he should be doing frequently as it plays into his core passive, Lycaon is granted 25% impact for 8 seconds. Meanwhile, basic attacks build stacks that increase fire and ice damage up to 30%. This turns Lycaon into not just a stunner, but a formidable buffer, reducing enemies' resistances and boosting elemental damage. A watered down but still very strong choice is Chingy's signature. It's very close to the Laurel, providing increased daze through basic attacks and buffing your team, but the buff is only attack percentage, which though nice and does make Lycaon better applicable to more than just ice units, is not as good of a buff as there are other ways to get attack. Then there's Hellfire Gears. It's very different from all the other engines as instead of emphasizing basic attacks, it focuses on special attacks. With its higher energy, Lycaon will perform more special attacks, and doing so will net him greater impact. While definitely nice, his main strength lies in his basic attack, so it doesn't rank highly, but is still a very good option. Last comes Trigger Signature. I wouldn't recommend running it since its passive doesn't synergize with Lycaon, and worse enough, its substat is crit rate, which, though useful, is definitely not as good as Daze. As for A rank engines, the number one W engine is the Steam Oven. It furthers energy but still performs really well. With it, Lycaon gets a lot more energy and thus will perform more EX special attacks, which is nice, but for every 10 energy Lycaon gains, you will get extra impact through stacks. Considering the high energy the substat has, he can easily gain a high number of stacks and thus a high amount of impact. After this is the 6-shooter, which I don't recommend. Not only do you have a strong and free option in the Steam Oven, the shooter is quite restricted. It only increases days to special attacks, and to actually dish out the most days you have to wait for stacks to generate to then use a special attack, consuming the stacks and getting that increased days. This means that while you wait for the stacks to accrue and finally use Lycaon's special attack, he isn't actually helped by the passive at all. Then ranks the Fossilized Core, NB Signature, and Pulchra Signature. Lycaon can't use the last two engines passive, so they're simply used for their impact substat. For any of you that just started playing, you can use any 3 of the B rank engines, but the best will be Vortex Arrow for its high impact, and then Vortex Revolver, which increases Lycaon's damage and daze with his special attacks. Before I cover the next section, I'd highly appreciate it if you could take a quick second to like the video and possibly subscribe. This goes a long way and helps me out immensely. Anyhow, let's talk about a very important part of building Lycaon, is drive discs. And this portion of the video is what I'm most excited for, and you should be as well. The new update released a new meta-defining drive disc, King of the Summit. This set is a complete game changer for Lycaon and is now his new best set. The Summit's 2-piece buffs the days of all attacks by 6%, which is a nice general buff, but the real game changer is the 4-piece effects. When the user is a stunner and they use an EX special attack or chain attack, the entire team gains 15% crit damage. In the instance the user's crit rate is above 50%, the crit damage buff is doubled to 30%. This new set is absolutely huge and it perfectly fits with Lycaon. Already Lycaon is meant to use his EX special attack to weaken the enemy's ice resistance, yet now with this set you're also getting a 30% damage increase, both of which Lycaon will use in addition to your entire team. And mind you, this buff will basically be active for an entire battle, so this is a really big buff to Lycaon. Now you might be worrying about Lycaon's stunning potential as the set doesn't improve it a great bit. Yet I'd say you shouldn't worry about this as Lycaon will already have high daze and impact with his engine and drive discs, so you'll still be able to stun enemies quickly. And better yet, Lycaon's stunning can still be improved if you use King of the Summit by pairing it with 2-piece Shockstar Disco. With it, Lycaon will gain an extra 6% impact. This combination will be Lycaon's best new drive disc setup, as with it you've got great stunning and amazing buffing at the same time. But say you play around with Lycaon and you feel his stunning is good with just 4-piece Summit. Or on the other hand, if you're struggling to reach Summit's 50% crit rate threshold, you could opt for Woodpecker Electro in the place of Shockstar Disco. Equally, you could run 2 Branch and Blade Song for 25% more crit damage. On the other hand, if your main goal for Lycaon is for him to just quickly stun enemies fast and reliably as possible, the old but effective 4 Shockstar Disco is gonna be the set you should run. It'll net you the fastest stun time with all the impact and the days the set provides. But if you want to push Lycaon further to the edge and cause him to stun even faster, the new set even helps with this. Combining 2 Summit with 4 Shockstar Disco would build the highest possible impact and days onto Lycaon, enabling him to stun even faster than he would before. Alternatively, if you want to improve upon Lycaon's personal damage output, then pair Shockstar Disco with 2 Woodpecker Electro, Branch Song, prefer Electro for extra pen ratio, or any sets with attack percentage or ice damage. The first 2 discs are generally your top choices for maximum damage, while the latter 3 fall behind them but are still very good options. The 3 roughly equate to the same amount of strength, so choose whichever of the sets have the better substats, and these 3 2-pieces can also be used with King of the Summit. As for the best main stats to have on your discs, equip crit rate or crit damage on the 4th slot. Definitely go for crit rate if you're using the new King set. Next up for the 4th, you have more freedom. Ice damage generally yields the highest damage output, but if that's not an option, attack percentage or pen ratio are solid alternatives. Lastly, for the 6th, Run Impact. As you level your drive discs, aim for the substats of both crits, attack percentage, flat attack, and pen. Next up, let's talk about Lycaon's Mindscapes. They're a great way to increase the power of Lycaon, so whether you're at M0 or you're gonna get one of his Mindscapes with the S rank selector, you should have them in mind and be aware of what they do. First, with his M1, it strengthens the emphasis of his special attacks. Already, it had great days and triggered his Ice Red, but now it's even better as it deals even more days. If you hold his special attack to its completion, it deals a very nice 22% extra days. Lycaon's M2 follows this pattern with a buff to his special attack. When Lycaon stuns an enemy or enables for a teammate to perform their chain attack, he gains extra energy. So it does improve his special attacks and likewise makes his ice reduction more frequent. Similar to M2, M4 is not a buff to damage, but it is a very nice quality of life improvement. While basic or special attacking, in the instance Lycaon is hit, he'll gain a shield based on his health. Therefore, you won't have to worry about dodge attacks or anything of the sort. You can just easily stun targets with little to no problem. Last and thankfully not least, Lycaon's M6. It finally gives him a damage increase and a very strong one at that. When he deals a charge attack, the opponents gain stacks that cause them to take 10% extra damage from Lycaon. These stacks max out at 50%, dramatically raising his personal damage and changing Lycaon almost to a second DPS or sub DPS. Now that you know how to play and build Lycaon, let's go over some amazing teams to play him in. The first composition I have for you isn't actually a team, but a team archetype. You can slot in pretty much any unit in. This is very useful, as while I'll mention some exact teams to play units in, there's all these other characters in the game and future agents that I obviously won't be able to cover, so just to be safe, in order to pair these very units with Lycaon, here's a great way to do it with Rina and Lycaon. Rina will provide pen ratio, a stat that significantly increases the damage of your character regardless of whether they scale on attack, defense, or HP, so she's great for literally any unit. But so is Lycaon, thanks to his extra stun damage, which Rina will enable for since she'll trigger his additional ability. So this setup is really usable for anyone and is sure to improve their performance. Another variation of this archetype is with Sukaku instead of Rina, and in light of 2.0, one of the top ways to utilize this archetype is through the newly improved Ellen. Truthfully, this team is one of those perfect teams in the game. Everyone synergizes amazingly, and now with Ellen buffed, this team's never been better. Sukaku provides huge amounts of attack to Ellen, while also increasing the ice damage of the entire party. Lycaon and Ellen will greatly benefit from this, but especially so given Lycaon's passive that shreds ice resistances. So Lycaon will deal a lot more damage as he stun enemies, and finally when he does, Ellen will hit for very high numbers. I'm gonna be playing this team a ton to test out Ellen and have some 1.0 nostalgia, but if you want a team that's more in line with the current meta, a great choice is Astriel and Miyabi. Miyabi of course needs no introduction. She's an insanely strong damage dealer. All her attacks are amazing, but especially so in this team. This team synergizes with Miyabi as her additional ability will be triggered, and this makes the team so much better. Not only will Miyabi's damage be higher and her charge attacks will be so much better, but also with her ability, she applies a 30% ice res reduction to enemies. This in combination with Lycaon causes enemies to be dealt a huge 55% ice res reduction. And then factoring in all of Astriel's buffs like her attack and damage increases, Miyabi's damage will be insane. Well everyone, this is the guide. If you have any further questions, be sure to ask me in the comments, and thanks for watching.